Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Wednesday night Bible class. It's the 11th of August, 2021. What we're going to be dealing with is the mystery of Cain. We'll go into that. It kind of came up the other day, so when I saw this, so I'm just going to go into that. They're going to deal with both sides of the story in Jubilees and in Genesis. So it says, I'm asking everybody to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification button. And if you feel the need to support this Prophets of Awakening, it'd be greatly appreciated. This is a non-Masonry channel, Tanakh and Torah. Tanakh is the Old Testament, and the Torah is the 45 books of the Bible that was given to Moses on Mount Sinai by the Lord of hosts. Shalom and welcome everybody, and we're going to go through our moment of silence, our prayer, psalms, and then we're going to do the current event. Okay. Oh Lord, we come before thee at this time, yes, that you have set apart, that you have given unto us, oh Lord. And we thank you for the knowledge and the understanding that you have given unto us up until this point. We seek thy face, that thou may shower us with peace and enlightenment and a sense of togetherness. Oh Lord, we see thine hand in the affairs of the world. We know and understand that what you have spoken in the past will surely come to pass. Turn not thy face from us, but hearken unto this plea. Hearken, O Lord, and do. For we need you so very much at this hour. All praises unto you. Okay. Psalms. Okay. We're going to do Psalms 100. It says, a call to praise the Lord. Make a joyful noise unto the Lord, all ye lands. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come before his presence with singing. Know ye that the Lord, he is God. It is he that have made us, and not we ourselves. We are his people, and the sheep of his pasture. Enter into his gates with thanksgiving, and into his courts with praise. Be thankful unto him, and bless his name. For the Lord is God. His mercy is everlasting, and his truth endures for all generations. Okay, so that was Psalms 100, and it's like five verses in that song, but it's loaded. You know, this is one of those things that I don't really go into, but we have to go into it right here. It says, I'm gonna read it again. It says, make a joyful noise unto the Lord, all ye lands. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come before his presence with singing. So my question is, what do you mean by serve the Lord with gladness? Come before his presence with singing. What is he talking about? Anybody know? Or got a suggestion?
No matter what you go through, you're supposed to always rejoice and be thankful for what the Most High is giving you. And that when you come before him, you should always have songs of gladness and uprightness in your heart. Even if you are going through something, you should always magnify him.
Okay. Well, yeah, that holds true, especially now. But it holds true because that's all we have. We don't have Israel don't have a place where they come together and congregate with the Lord. It was the temple. So right here in this verse, he's saying, first of all, it says, verse 1 says, make a joyful noise unto the Lord, all ye lands. The Lord he's talking about is the Lord of hosts. So understand who that is. These other verses is major. Verse 2, serve the Lord with gladness, come before his presence with singing. What he mean by that is the festivals. The three festivals that they got. They come into the temple, they come before him, he there. That's what that's talking about. And you say, what are you talking about? Verse 3. Know ye that the Lord, He is God. It is, look at this. This is where it's getting loaded at. Know ye that the Lord, that's my Lord of hosts, He is God. It is He that made us. Come on. And not we ourselves. We are His people and the sheep of His pasture. Now, 4. Enter into the gates. That's what I'm talking about up here in verse 2. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come before His presence, right? 4. Enter into His gates with thanksgiving and into His courts. That's the temple. See that? With praise. Be thankful unto Him and bless His name. The Lord of hosts is the one keep telling you, for my name's sake, not Yahweh. So He said, 5. The Lord is good. His mercy is everlasting. His truth endures for all generations. Any comments?
Yeah, I want to comment on verse 2 and how it's up, come before His presence with singing. And that's one of the things, ever since we were small and little, and the older people, when they be going into prayer, that's one of the first things they kick off is with song,
Right,
you know, praising and giving praises. Kind of like set the mood for the time of prayer. And
right, exactly.
yeah, it's
Right,
very phenomenal that, it works, setting that
right,
tone with that song.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right, right. And that goes back to like I was saying before, when he said he's not gonna ask you to sing, come before him singing if he ain't gave you the ability and the gift to sing. Just like I was telling you, he says can't no can't no Levite come into the temple this defective, got defects on him. So if he make that a priority, that means that all Israelites had to be perfect. They would have no flaws on them. And when the flaws came, when we started intermingling, that's when the flaws came. So like I said before, once you understand it, go back to the slave ships. They wasn't all down there in the gully and everywhere, all up on the stern of the ship messing with them black women because they really looked. But they show us on all these movies, they got bones in their nose and all that. And looking crazy. But that wasn't the case. Yeah, like I was saying before, they had special ships. They was bringing just women in it, Israelite women. They was bringing just certain places, and all the plantation owners they was out of there. They leave somebody else in charge of the plantation. They gone. They trying to get to wherever that boat coming to. They trying to get there. To get them some of those Israelite women. But like I say, they didn't throw us in the cross with these movies. Yeah, and that's not what's going on. And that's not how they look. Okay.
Shalom.
Okay.
When I was in the Baptist church, we
Okay.
used to do this Psalm 100 every Sunday. So
Okay.
I guess the Lord of hosts was prepping me because it's memorized in me, but now I see and read it totally different. It's like, so, it's beautiful.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And those things, those days coming back. Coming back. Yeah. Well, we're gonna be able to go in the temple, and the Lord of hosts gonna be there. We ain't got to go looking for him or imagining he there and all that. We don't know he there, just like they did. Okay. Anybody got any current events? Okay.
Wow, yeah. A lot of people are getting hit with, having to get the hokey poke, or else they're
Okay.
gonna lose their jobs.
Right. Okay. Yeah. They also that that moratorium was up with the evictions. A lot of evictions going on all over the country. Excuse me. So this look like this the the big mamma jamma right here, because it's all coming to a head. It looks like. So let me get this right here.
Oh.
Somebody got something?
No, I was gonna say, did you guys get that alert on your phone today?
Oh, it came. You
I
got
got it
yours?
on mine. Yeah.
Okay. What did it say?
It says, let me tell you, because I got it on here still. So. Oh no. Yeah, it just said that this was an alert, a testing, but it's not showing on my phone now. Normally it shows. Oh, here it is. Okay, yes, it says, this is a test of the National Wireless Emergency Alert System. No action is needed.
Okay. Yeah, I was getting ready to say
Anybody else?
they might have used disappearing ink.
Not
What
on
you
my
say?
phone, but on my TV it did.
And what is that in reference to? That is that nationwide power outage or what? What is it reference to?
That's what it's tied to.
I didn't copy what you say.
That's what it's tied to. They saying that it's a simulated, a simulated event. They going through the motions in case of an emergency. So, but it's if you go back, you understand all the catastrophic events that came in the past. They came when at the same time when they supposed to be having a simulated event. They had a simulated event going on 9/11 the same day. That's why all of the emergency workers was already in place.
And what day is it supposed to be?
Today, wasn't it today, Ariana?
Well, I know. Well, they had the alert today, but today on Daily Mail, they had the U.S. soldiers join with the police and firefighters to train for doomsday scenario.
Exactly.
And that's on the Daily Mail UK. That came out today.
Okay.
And yeah, and it's also they did an article says U.S. soldiers are training in New York City for America's worst day that could something else. It's on the Sun,
Right.
thesun.com. So anyway, you guys, they know something's about to jump. I'm just
Right.
saying. Come
Right.
on.
It's the water event. Like I said, it's on the money. It's all of it all tied together. It's the dropping of America.
And like someone said last night, we in the 6th month in the Hebrew calendar. So next month will be the 7th month. And Lord of hosts works in sevens.
Okay, that's tomorrow on the 12th. Kenny. Yeah, he do work in sevens. That event is tomorrow at 12 on the 12th.
So we got to go to Walmart and get some batteries, huh? The same.
Just in case. I mean, just in case.
Yeah, you might want to get some water too.
Well,
Right.
I got that.
Rather be safe than sorry.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Yeah. So let me get. So this tied to these two things I got right here tied to what we just talked about. Okay. Right here. Okay.
Last week's events were another major blow for global supply chains, and now industry experts are warning businesses and
we know they just had that shipping container had the blockage over there, and that shut down a lot of stuff. Now here we go again.
consumers about more delivery delays, more shortages, and even more acute price hikes are coming. A series of disasters, including devastating floods in China and Europe, could result in empty grocery shelves, out of stock products, and prolonged shipping delays, exacerbating the already strained global supply chains. Western Europe and China's Henan province, key transportation centers and home to several major businesses, are struggling to resume operations as the disasters have severely damaged railways used for the delivery of goods and raw materials in both regions. Companies in the supply chain industry reported that water rushed into industrial areas, extensively damaging facilities. In an interview with CNBC, Pawan Joshi, the executive vice president of supply chain software firm E2Open, said that Black Friday and the holiday season, for which products and raw materials are being staged, will face the brunt of the impact. He added that consumer electronics, dorm room furniture, clothing, and appliances will all continue to be in short supply as back to school shopping starts up and will trickle into the peak holiday shopping season. Delays from the distribution of raw materials necessary to produce goods will have a ripple effect and disrupt supply chains for weeks and months, Joshi highlighted. Come Black Friday, we can likely expect to see prices rise for all sorts of goods, such as consumer electronics, furniture, apparel, and appliances, he told CNBC. Amongst the hardest hit industries by these brutal floods is auto. Many of the biggest automakers in the globe, along with their suppliers, are based in regions that were critically affected by the disaster. Now that automakers were finally being able to start ramping up production, the disruption will likely hammer car manufacturing once again, with shipping delays expected to stall operations at several plants for months. The flooding has the potential to throw another wrench into the mix for the auto industry, which is already reeling from a semiconductor shortage, Joshi said. The global shipping crisis is worsening at a quite alarming pace. Even Apple CEO Tim Cook stressed that freight costs are way too high. In a year, freight rates skyrocketed by nearly 500%, and they continue to reach unprecedented levels with each passing month. If billionaires are complaining about the staggering surge, for small business owners, it's become simply impossible to find affordable vessel space to send their products overseas. With freight prices spiraling out of control, the U.S. has issued a presidential order authorizing the Federal Maritime Commission and Surface Transportation Board to investigate the practices of steamship lines regarding consolidation and pricing. According to the Vice President of Supply Chain Management of Raymond Logistics, the measure was a shot across the bow for shipping lines. It definitely puts them on notice that they're being watched and they're going to be under scrutiny, he said. The main factor pushing shipping prices to sky highs is the container crisis that started in September last year. Almost 1 year later, the situation has only got worse. And the main problem behind the critical shortage of containers is the extraordinary surge in demand for consumer goods coming from China. Chinese companies are so eager to refill containers that shipping lines are sending them back to Asian ports rather than waiting for them to be restocked with United States products, such as crops. Meanwhile, shippers are taking 4 to 5 times longer than usual to transport containers filled with Chinese products, so companies are offering a sizable financial incentive to get them back there as soon as possible. Stephen Parklington, the president of CFT Corporation, an international logistics company, estimates that 60% of 20-foot containers and 80% of 40-foot containers are heading back to Asia completely empty. That is aggravating the container shortage and resulting in soaring transportation costs. Shipping industry experts are estimating.
Okay, any comments so far?
Yeah, the thing is, from a couple of my college courses, made me think back to one of the classes I was taking, where the professor said that the people in the logistics area who own the containers controls everything.
Right.
So I don't think there's a shortage of containers. I think the owners of that are just harboring them and keeping them and creating this chaos.
So who is the owner?
I have no idea. Whoever runs that business, that part of them, because the containers are just leased out, like those mobile pod things that you move
Right.
your furniture with. It's like
Right.
that.
Right. He just said Chinese owned. So
Yeah,
what they're
Chinese.
doing,
Yeah,
so what they're doing is, like he said, they come with a loaded ship full of containers full of stuff for Chinese, but they go back. They don't take American stuff back. They go back empty. So they intentionally bankrupt in America. We know behind them. We know who got them doing it is the bankers.
So some type of embargo, huh?
Yeah. Well, they just intentionally doing it. They're just like we was looking at yesterday how they poisoning us with the food. The food ain't even real what they sending over here, and then they putting rats in there and telling you that it's beef. They doing all kind of stuff. Yeah, so it ain't nothing but a matter of time. But the thing you have to look at is they got a whole system sitting over there waiting. The Rolling Belt Initiative. Look at all the ports they building all over the place. That's tied to these containers. They're gonna it's a reset happening. They're gonna shut this place down, but they already got everything in place over there to pick right up when this shut down. That's why they can make all these predictions about how many people are going to be in Africa in 2026 and 27 and all that. Because they know they see what they're doing right here. Anybody got anything else before I start it back? Okay.
That only half of the normal container supply will be available for U.S. businesses to send their products in the September to October period when new crops are supposed to be moving to overseas markets. But several farmers and ranchers are already aware that they will remain unable to send their products across the ocean, and some of them are being forced to make some extremely painful choices.
Breaking America.
One California farmer said, "We've already begun the process of laying off half of our staff." He said this, noting that shipping lines are canceling traditional container routes to focus on getting empty containers back to China. It seems almost weekly we're losing shipping routes right now, he said. But the shipping crisis is about to get worse.
Yeah, you can see who went in America ain't the ruling power no more. They ain't got no respect. They ain't respecting them. They got the supposedly the strongest military, but look what they're doing.
Major shipping companies such as Hapag-Lloyd are withdrawing their North American service, and they are drastically reducing service amid port logjams across the West Coast. On top of that, there's also an ongoing trend in which bulk shipping is given priority. Those fortunate enough to get their product into a container are getting rolled over to the next vessel because priority is being given to empty containers, one industry executive revealed. Now, that can cause a 60 to 80-day delay waiting for the next ship. Detention and delay costs are eating up businesses' profit associated with shipment. The container shortage issue is particularly concerning for the U.S. agricultural industry, which is comprised of many small farmers that supply niche products to buyers who don't want to buy bulk commodities. For instance, 40% of California's nuts and 35% of oat crops travel by container to markets around the world. But now that number is expected to sharply drop due to the lack of available containers. According to Jordan Atkins, the vice president of WTC Group, the transloading company, there is no end in sight to the container crisis. He said, "We're seeing the demand that is causing these imbalances continue for at least the next 6 to 8 months." Already, shipping delays are having serious impacts across several U.S. industries as companies try to recover amid the reopening. For the U.S. airline industry, shipping delays are being translated into fuel shortages in many of the country's airports. American Airlines station jet fuel delivery delays initially affected mostly western U.S. cities, but are now being reported at American stations across the country. Delivery delays are expected to continue through mid-August. John Dudley, managing director of flight operations, recently wrote in a memo to the company's pilots. As our country continues to face multiple challenges, let's work together as a team to operate reliably, safely, and as efficiently as possible, Dudley said, asking pilots to use fuel-saving strategies such as taxiing with a single engine. As consumers resume traveling, most planes now have their seats full, but their tanks empty. At many of the nation's airports, there's simply not enough jet fuel around to meet the increased demand for leisure travel, which is making airlines cancel flights or make extra stops to fuel up on longer routes. The problem not only includes maritime transportation issues, but also onshore woes due to a shortage of tank truck drivers needed to deliver fuel. Approximately 20% of tankers nationwide are parked due to a lack of qualified drivers, and that's according to an industry trade group. That shortage is also having an impact on gas stations. Last year, major U.S. airlines either furloughed or laid off their employees to reduce their labor costs, amid 25% in June compared to a year earlier. As the United States economy tries to pick up steam, inflation pressures are mounting in pretty much every sector. But shortages are making it hard for businesses to rebound from the losses faced last year. In the food industry, supply chain issues are causing prices to soar at grocery stores and restaurants. Once again, the math is simple. Increased demand plus decreased supply equals higher prices. The shortages are impacting consumers and businesses alike. Many restaurants are unable to get key ingredients, and when those ingredients are finally available in the market, they come with a sizable price tag. Restaurant employee Andrea Parker, who works in the Mustard Seed in Mount Pleasant, recently exposed in an interview that because of the shortages, they're having to remove traditional meals from the menu. We can't get crab, she says. It's so expensive. It's hard to get our hands on. Nobody wants to think about that. Crab, scallops, and ground beef are in high demand this summer. They're the main dish in many restaurants of the country. But just as the Mustard Seed, restaurant owners are having to make changes amid the shortage. The biggest problem we're noticing is that certain food items are skyrocketing in price. We've had to limit them or eliminate them from our menu, Parko said. Shortages are hitting more than just the food supply. The sector is also facing a shortage of workers and owners who are offering higher wages for employees who are also passing along those increases to their customers.
Okay, so how long you think this gonna last? Can't stand this too much longer. Comment.
It's just listening to that. All you hear is just greed. That's at the top. This country could sustain itself and produce everything it needs to sustain itself without relying on another country, including fuel, foods, and all that stuff. But at the top, that greed.
Right. Yeah. Right. Right. They China set them up because they became dependent on China. Now China pulling the rug off from under. You know.
And the prices, the prices are getting extremely high.
Right. Okay. Yeah, they are. They're creeping up. And on top of all that, like I said, how long you think this going? They can't sustain this. And not they ain't even including what's going on with this right here.
Less than 4 years. At less than, way less.
GMA3, and of course, ABC Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Jen Ashton helping us track all of the major developments, including this big number. We are watching 9, as in the national COVID-19 daily case average now nearly 9 times higher than it was in mid-June. All 50 states now reporting high or substantial community transmission. So, Dr. Jen, as we see this Delta variant surging throughout the country, we're concerned about a lot of people, but especially the younger, unvaccinated population, kids, some of them getting sick enough to be hospitalized. Right. And again, once again in this pandemic, we have to look at different populations differently. So let's look specifically at the under 12 age group. What do we know at this point? Pfizer study is looking at up to 4,500 children ages 5 to 11 from multiple countries, including here in the United States. In terms of results, their phase 2 and 3 initial clinical trials results are expected at some point in September. I know to pediatricians and parents that is not soon enough. Then they're going to be looking at children, babies and toddlers ages 6 months to 2 years. Those clinical trials results are expected later in the fall, October or November. And the big news yesterday.
See, that's September, right?
The American Academy of Pediatrics is imploring the FDA to grant emergency use authorization with the existing data for the age 5 to 11 age group while they continue to monitor in these additional groups, because they are so desperate to get this younger age group vaccinated because of exactly what you were saying. We're seeing higher rates of children getting sick.
Okay, we're seeing that, and Delta is the dominant strain now. Put 2 and 2 together. Does this mean that Delta is more severe?
Not necessarily. And we have to remember what we don't know. We don't know if the Delta variant is actually producing worse or more severe disease in children. However, some numbers here, anything, even a small increased risk in this population when it affects a huge number of people, that's going to translate to a significant number of children affected. And that's what we're seeing right now. All right, Dr. Jen, we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anybody got any comments?
Yeah, somebody body language say they're part of the problem.
Okay. Yeah, it's amazing to me how the last gangster didn't have nothing to do with kids. Now all of a sudden, this one here knocking kids off.
It's the Egypt.
Okay, and that's something.
That's what I was thinking. Egypt.
Yep. And then once they kill a certain amount of kids, people, even these ones that won't take the vaccine, are going to be, hey, y'all need to do something to protect. They're trying to get to those particular group of people. Since they won't take it, we'll concentrate on your children. And once you get a certain amount of kids dead, laws are going to change.
Okay. Is that something? Anybody else? Okay, like I said, ain't no way this place can sustain all that's going on with it, because you know it's a capitalistic society, and they, you know, those containers and moving product is what's making it go, and China cutting it off, China and Russia cutting it off. Like Mike was saying right here, it's a concerted effort from Russia and China. And they preparing and knowing that they ain't gonna go out quietly in the night. So they prepare. And then you also have to understand this place nobody never brought it to them here on our soil. We always been over somewhere else, tearing everybody else's country up and killing their people and got everything going to chaos, but you know, it ain't never happened here. So we always say, what go up, got to come back down. Yeah, so anybody else got anything on that? Yeah, so I'm doing this little need to know thing. And what it is it's actually pertaining to this. It's you want to watch the video on your own. I'm just gonna play some of it, but this guy who was in the military, and he wrote this book. It's the true history of the U.S. true history of U.S. genocide, slavery, imperialism, and hyper capitalism. So everything that he said right there is the reason why we're getting what we get now. Because of genocide, slavery, imperialism, all that. This is the result of, Lord of hosts is the judge. So here we go.
I'm Afshin Ratansi, and you're watching a special episode of Going Underground, looking at imperialism, hegemony, and the history buried by the victor. Exactly 232 years since the creation of the United States Department of War. As today, the US, UK, and Israel ratchet up tensions with Iran. August the 7th is also exactly 31 years since the first American soldiers arrived in Saudi Arabia as part of Persian Gulf War I, and 57 years since the passing of the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution, which escalated doomed Washington mass killing from Vietnam to Laos and Cambodia. The real history of these events is often missing from textbooks and history classes in NATO nations. A new volume by retired U.S. Army officer Major Danny Sershan attempts to remedy all that by telling a true history of the United States. He joins me now from Lawrence in Kansas. Danny, welcome to Going Underground. Before we get to this monumental...
So let's look at that right quick before we go any further. This is what a lot of people ain't considering. They're not understanding that Enoch told us, and several other prophets told us that they was going to skew our text. They was going to tamper with our text. Enoch told us that they was going to mess with the text. So how can you rightly divide anything if you ain't got it? I mean, if it's been skewed with. If the Most High ain't dealing with you, how you gonna rightly divide it? So they always trying to find where America is in the Bible. How you gonna find out where America is when listen to what this guy's gonna tell you? The image and who we think America is ain't what it is. It's wicked as hell. So you looking in history for a righteous nation. America ain't a righteous nation. So you see the dilemma, and that's where so many people jacked up, so-called teachers or mores or whatever. That's how they jacked up, because they're looking in there and reading that for what it's saying, not understanding that it's a dead camera line that these Edomites ain't got hold to the scriptures. That's what Daniel telling you in chapter 7. Said that the Antichrist came, changed times, which is prophecies, and the law. Come on. And you still yeah. So let's look at what this guy's saying. This is the real America. Once you figure this out, then go and try to find America in the scripture.
History of the United States. I mean, it's up there with Howard Zinn, arguably, and how you managed to teach this to U.S. Army soldiers at West Point, which we'll get onto. Amazing, the whole idea of it. Your take, obviously, on U.S. troops fleeing in the dead of night from Afghanistan, where you fought for the U.S. Army.
Well, I think it's a tragedy for the Afghan people, but it's been an ongoing tragedy in general that there's been 4 years of war. I think the American troops leaving in the dead of night is a fitting way for the imperial U.S. sort of forces to go. This war has been over for 10 years or longer. When I fought there in 2011, 12, that was the height of the U.S. troop presence, and we barely controlled anything but the ground we stood on. I'm for the withdrawal. I don't think that America can meaningfully, influence the outcomes in Afghanistan, and the whole thing is a tragedy. But more so for the people of Afghanistan, I support the withdrawal, but we're going out with our tail between our legs, which is surprising to people who weren't paying attention. I think to the fact that the United States really has not achieved anything in Afghanistan, and things are worse essentially than we found it, or than we found it in February 2002 when combat operations were declared over.
Yeah, I mean,
so like you said, nothing accomplished. Only one thing was accomplished was a bunch of money was moved around. And there go your corporate right there. These bankers, they didn't want all that was behind all the deaths and all this stuff that happened. All because they moving some money around.
And the opium.
Manipulating the currency. That's what it's all about. That's what you see this controlled demo of America is. They already got China and the Road and Belt Initiative already in place over in Africa. It's already set up. They got Echo Hernandez. They got all these smart cities already set up. Ghana, they didn't blow Ghana up. So all these containers and container ships, all they're gonna do is just reroute them. You know, like he said, the old Silk Road what Marco Polo had. They didn't revive it with modern technology. They don't need them. They don't need America no more. Okay.
In this country, thousands of British troops wounded, hundreds of thousands of Afghans. Obviously, the army doesn't count the US or UK army doesn't count Afghan civilians. I mean, you use the word imperial there. People are going to wonder. When you fought in Iraq and Afghanistan, lots of this book you taught to people who fight for the United States, and you use the word imperial. That is not the rhetoric we hear from the Hillary Clintons of this world and the liberal interventionists at all. It's trying to actually let countries govern themselves is the whole idea.
Right. I mean, the polite liberals and the polite imperialists, as I like to call them, or the polite interventionists, they always come up with rhetoric to justify these interventions.
That's all in the New
But when
Testament.
one looks at the practical end of it, and for better or worse, my adult life was spent at the practical pointy end of the spear. It looked a lot like invasion, occupation, and sort of, a brand of imperialism. No one likes the word empire in the United States. In fact, we're really proud. We just celebrated the fact that, we were ostensibly founded in opposition to the greatest empire in the world. Down with King George, we don't like empire, but one of the things I argue in the book, and one of the things that I felt experientially that I had seen with my own eyes, was that the United States was ever, always, and continues to be an empire. Just maybe not of the maritime late 19th century European sort, but there's been all kinds of empires in history, and currently we're an empire of bases and economics and expeditionary interventions.
Okay, so let's look at this. I got a high tech question. So, how many beasts is it that's supposed to come upon the earth?
What'd you say?
How many beasts is supposed to come upon the earth? How many kingdoms?
Oh,
And Daniel.
4.
Okay. Then what's the last one? What's the fourth beast?
Oh, okay.
Okay. It's
China.
wrong. So let's look at that. So this is going over a lot of people's head. So is it wrong or is it America? Think about
Wrong.
It. Yeah,
but looking at what they show, what we seeing with our eyes, who's ruling everything or running everything? What do we see looking at?
America.
See that? So is America the fourth beast or wrong? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So let's look at it. Let's go into like I said, let's go into the scriptures and look at it, rightly divided. The way So you go to Daniel. This big right here. So I'm in chapter 7, starting at verse 15. And he says, I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the vision of my head troubled me. And I came near to one of them that stood by, asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation of these things. These great beasts, which are four, and four kings which shall arise out of the earth. And we know Rome is supposed to be the fourth one, right? But he says, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom even forever and ever. So the Israelites at the very end gonna take this fourth beast, right? 19. Gabriel telling Daniel all this. Then I would know truth of the four beasts. See that? So evidently you got to twist it, because he said, then you would know the truth of the four beasts after it's gone, which was Greek, which was diverse. See that? That's how you're gonna figure out what it is, which was diverse from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron and nails and brass, which devour and break in pieces and stomp the residue with his feet. And the 10 horns, see that? This is where we're going. This is what making it diverse. The 10 horns out of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose looks were more stout than his fellows. When you go do that and combine that with history, you're going to find out that's Constantine. And like I said in verse 25, Constantine, he speak great words against the Most High, and he shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and to think to change times. See that? Change the prophecies. That's what they did at the Council of Nicaea. Change times and laws. The Sabbath day was Saturday. And that's law. And they changed it to Sunday, right here. And they shall be given into his hands until a time, and dividing the time. So let's look at this. So into his hands, Constantine. So the 4 beasts received a wound in the head. That's when the giants came and sacked Rome, and Rome disintegrated into 4 different kingdoms. Constantine came back, brought it back to life. He became a sole emperor again, brought it back to life, right? With the Holy Roman Empire. That's what we've been dealing with ever since. So he says right here, 25, and he, Constantine, shall speak great words against the Most High, shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hands. See that? So we still dealing with Constantine. Everything he set up. Now watch this. So go to 18. But the saints of the Most High are going to take the kingdom. This kingdom that Constantine is set up. We're going to take that. We're still dealing with what Constantine did. It's still all up in the church house, still worshiping on Sunday, still dealing with JC, who they concocted. So 26. But the judgment is set. See that? The judgment for what Constantine did. The judgment is set, right? And they shall take away his Constantine kingdom. See that? Constantine kingdom. And consume and destroy it until the end. And the kingdom, look at this, and the kingdom and the dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heavens shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. See that? Who the him is? David. I just showed you over and over again, David coming back. So this when they originally had this here, these people's names had to be in here. They didn't pick this out. Hoodwinked.
So, Brother Leonard, so you're saying that Constantine, wasn't he Roman? Didn't the Roman Catholic Church do this?
Yeah, Roman Catholic, but it says, like I keep on saying, the 3rd and the 4th beast is when you go to Japhet, or Chechem is the Romans, and Javan is the Greeks. So the 4th, 3rd, and 4th kingdom is Gentile kingdoms. That's why he's saying until the time of the Gentiles.
Right.
Right. So Constantine is Greek. He's a Greek. Constantine is Greek. He just following right on along with what the Greeks did in the 3rd beast. They Greeks, which is, we know they're Macedonians, but they Edomites. Philip was Philip's daddy, and Philip was Alexander's daddy. Zephano was an Edomite. So that's Edomites that's controlling the whole thing. That's why Alexander ended up in the Middle East. Because he's an Edomite. He picking up and following the rhetoric that Esau had gave them about getting their blessings back that Jacob had stole. That's why he all over in the Middle East. And so what got him killed was, once they got over there, he got this, I told you, he got this Edomite think tank that's following, that's everything we dealing with is this Edomite think tank still in place. They wanted him to attack Jerusalem. And he didn't want to attack him. That's what got him killed. He ain't died for no no food, alcohol poison. After he didn't win the attack Israel and Jerusalem, they killed him. So that's what that is. So like I said before, and then everything comes in play. Like I said, the Bible unfolds. Now the saints of the Most High is Ezekiel 37. The army. I keep on showing you in Ezekiel 37 and the army that's over in Joel. They're the ones going to take the kingdom. They're going to destroy what Constantine set up.
So
what they did at the Council of Nicaea.
So who are the horns?
Huh?
The horns.
Yeah. So that's the point I was going to. So verse 24, 7 and 24 says, and the 10 horns out of the kingdom. See that? So it's 10 kingdoms. What making this four beasts diverse is relocating. The first three kingdoms, Babylon, the Medes and Persians, and the Greeks, they stay in one geographical location. They wasn't super sharp like Esau. He's able to pack all his bags and relocate. So 10 different times he relocated. That's why I'm showing you, I'm asking you, is Rome before beast or is America? No, Rome is, but it's being relocated. Just like we saw back in the mid 70s and early 80s, all the American companies left here and went where? To China. Why you think China all of a sudden coming on the scene? Because they would set it up back then. He know how to relocate. So what happened with Great Britain? They fled from Great Britain and came to America. Who was here when they got here? The Edomites. 13 colonies. When George Washington got in trouble, he went to the Edomites and got money. You know, that's how. That's why these Jewish symbolism all over the dollar. So they able to relocate. Before the British Empire it was Charlemagne, to France. Then from there it came to Great Britain. Great Britain ruled the world. Then when Great Britain started falling, they came over here, started 13 colonies. So we're looking at the same thing now. This America is the ninth beast, ninth transformation of these ninth horn. And then what we're looking at is the 10th horn coming into place, China. And we know it ain't gonna last that long because we're getting ready to get delivered. And so, like I said before, you know, that's for the people in YouTube world. The Babylonians brought us into captivity, but it was the Persians that released us. Babylonians ain't released us. Americans came and got us and brought us over here, but it's gonna be the Chinese that's gonna release us. Okay. Most I had already told them 400 to 500 years earlier, Cyrus was coming. Cyrus ain't no Babylonian. You're Persian. All right. So that's what I'm saying. How you gonna rightly divide anything or make any comment on anything? Come on. So he told us first. I can get you out to understand that Enoch had already told us, and I don't know about nobody else. But when Enoch said what David said, I'm going with it. So these people it's already obvious they got a problem with David. They got a problem with Enoch. You know, they got Job in here, but they turn around and tell us in Jasher, Job the one gave the Pharaoh the idea to throw the Israelite boys in the water. Job Edomite. Come on. Any comments so far? Okay. So I'm pick it back up.
And any mythology needs a founding myth, origin myth. You go through a couple of them. Just tell me about why we don't hear about Jamestown.
It's a peculiar thing.
Check this out.
Origin myths, you would think, would start at the beginning. The first permanent, British settlement is at Jamestown, 1607. But that's not what we really celebrate in the United States. That's not our origin myth. Our origin myth is Thanksgiving. It's pilgrims. It's buckles on black hats. It's this notion that the United States was founded as a haven for, religious, rights, the right to practice religion. That's interesting that we choose that myth. Of course, it's a myth. Massachusetts was actually a very sort of fundamentalist, religious state. I mean, there was really very little difference between the government and the church. You wouldn't want to live among these people, frankly. I mean, they bear a lot in resemblance to, the life in Puritan Boston and life in Riyadh weren't completely different, right? We just don't like to think of it that way. But I think the reason we don't talk about Jamestown is there's a few. Well, first of all, that's where the slaves come, just a few years after the British colonists get there. But also the motives. It's really hard to justify those motives if you're even remotely honest about it, which is that a bunch of aristocrats did too many chiefs, didn't bring any farmers, didn't bring any people who do actual work, form a corporate venture, right? Like venture capitalism. Go to Virginia looking for gold and resources and a Northwest Passage maybe, and to kind of challenge the Spanish. And they make terrible decisions, and they set up a settlement in a malarial swamp, and almost all of them die. And one guy eats his wife the first winter because they're starving. And the whole thing is a mess. And it's sort of a capitalist enterprise, an extractory one. And so I don't think that coheres with our origin myth. But in many ways, it sets the stage for what is to come in American history, maybe more so than Boston and Plymouth Rock and all that.
And you see parallels between Isis Daesh and this Puritan true origin.
Well, they use a lot of the same language. I mean, the scale of killing, some would say, isn't the same. But is it not? I mean, we're talking about folks who, in the Mystic Massacre, surround a wooden village in what's now Connecticut, right, where a Julia Roberts movie took place, right, Mystic Pizza. And they burn alive, bayonet, and shoot, taking no quarter, women, children, old people. Most of the warriors had kind of gotten away. This is just one incident. And the language that they use, I mean, Ronald Reagan and every politician since, right, whether it's Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama, they love this city on a hill speech. So that's John Winthrop, right, on the boat offshore. He says, "We shall be as a city upon a hill." Well, no one ever mentions what he says after that speech. He basically says that we're a new Israel, and that with the strength, I'm paraphrasing, with the strength of God behind us, we should be able to smote 10 of our enemies for each man. This is a settler colonial enterprise to not necessarily civilize the heathen, but probably to exterminate. And the language of creating, they wanted to create a Christian caliphate in a new land. I mean, this is not very different language. I mean, I'm being purposely provocative, and there are differences. But I think if we don't.
So let's look at that. This is what I was talking about. A couple of times. I don't know if it was sinking in or registering or whatever. So, but the guy telling you they was trying to create a Christian caliphate. Well, you know what a caliphate is. That's what the Islamist got. It's either they come in with Islam and you either gonna accept Islam or they gonna knock you off. You're gonna come up missing. So all the stuff that's written in red is pertaining to that. It's pertaining to them creating a Christian caliphate. It ain't got nothing to do with Yahweh. Everything that's written in red is for that. So, like I said before, imagine outside on your porch or whatever, talking to some clown, and he started trying to bring in Christianity. He started quoting from Paul, Luke, and John, and all them. They created it to make a Christian caliphate. Imagine that. Come on.
Brother Leonard. So, Jamestown, right?
Right.
The first town that they settled. So, check this out. King James, the same King James that we're reading out of, he's the one that commissioned Captain John Smith to go over there and to take the land and to subject the Powhatan Indians and the slaves into Christianity by any means necessary.
Right, exactly.
That's why King James is named after Jamestown, is named after King James. Look it up.
Right. So that opens up another can of worms, because The Hebrew Christians say King James a black man.
Exactly.
Come on. So like I said before, these Edomites was mulatto. When they left in 70 AD, they was mulatto. They went into Europe. That's what Hitler killing them. He's saying that they came there and brought that Negro gene over there. So they mulatto. Now they look the way they look now because they went over there in Europe and they intermingled. They whited out. And I showed you on 2 or 3 different videos how it happened. It's really the story of evolution. They whited it out. They had, when they got over there, they had Caucasian genes and Negroid genes. And then they had the bushy looking. You see it all. It show you all in history books all over the place with the afro, the big red afro. And then now they look the way they look now because they didn't white it out. They married into these aristocratic families over in Europe, but they was originally mulattoes. And we know that if you're a mulatto, then you consider black because they raped all our women on the boats. When they got here, they put them in the slave quarters. Even though the daddy was white, they still put them in the slave quarters. Okay, let me see what my man talking about right here. Says Daniel 11, 43 and 45. Can we say this is happening right now as the U.S. pulls out of Afghanistan and France pulls out of Africa? Russia and China we're in the north. Just kind of sounds like yeah, same thing. It's like I say, they got a blueprint, and they ain't diverted from that blueprint. They got the same blueprint. That's how you can track them. Yeah. You got the same blueprint, and the Most High telling you what I just read in Daniel. He said they're gonna transform themselves 10 different times. Rome gonna be running everything, but he gonna relocate. He might sitting up there in Rome, but the power source, the military power source of it, they relocating it. It's gonna transform itself 10 different times. Got you thinking that it's a whole nother kingdom, but the Most High telling you it's only 4 kingdoms. Ain't no 10 kingdom. America ain't no America is part of the 4th beast, but it's relocated. It ain't over there in Italy no more. It's over here. Then it was in Great Britain. Then it came here. Now we see it transforming itself for the last final time is China, going right back around, right back to Africa, just like the Lord of hosts said. Okay. Comments.
So should we be gathering together?
He gonna do that. He gonna gather us together. He's gonna gather. I feel like, he's consolidating his people, because all Israel ain't all Israel. Everybody think that Israel ain't all Israel. Like I said, the Most High he's pouring his spirit out all over the place now. But you got people that ain't rolling off of them like water on a duck back. But this elect is marinating. And they having life changing. They having life changing events. I mean, they the information is changing their life. But it's got a lot of them. Like I said, it's not no different than when the Lord of hosts sent those angels with the weapons in their hand. He said he sent the Lord of hosts before them, marked out everybody that was silent and that was responding to what was going on. And then he said he sent the other 6 behind him, killed everything that ain't just just dead meat. You're killing everything, but the ones that sigh and cry and tremble at the Most High's words and what He's doing, those are the ones He marked. There's nothing no different than what's happening now. He's pouring His Spirit out on them, and He's getting and looking at the ones that's reacting to His Spirit, reacting to what He's doing. Nothing no different. Okay.
I got a question, because I think what my aqua is trying to ask is, because not necessarily should we be gathering together as if the Most High is not going to gather us, but as in the people that are like-minded, like who we are on this broadcast right now. And as far as what you're doing with the Shiloh project, because we were trying to figure out, okay, with everything happening, we talking about blackouts and things like that, and we was just trying to be dwelling together in the same area where we're farming together and we're putting our supplies together and our waters together to be able to sustain us, and that we can rely on each other, and when we lean on each other and we all pray together as one is what I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, is what she's saying, because it's like what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Not to say that, oh, let's gather, like the Most High is not going to get all his people together, but if we have family, we all consider each other to be family on here, kind of, sort of, I guess, but we're just not blood related. But it seemed like the people that we are blood related to, even our closest friends, have rejected our words. They have rejected the Most High. They have rejected him. They're not considering him. But it does get hard out here as far as wanting somebody to talk to them, understand and relate to these laws, and that can remind you to fall back on them and have that support from your Hebrew family that believe and that's walking after the Most High. So in the sense of gathering together, like, are we all going to save our money up and then go to a certain spot and camp out there and be there, and we be together until the Most High gathers us? Is, I think, what she's saying, because some of us are ready to disattach from this place. Some of us are ready to give whatever we do have, but it don't make no sense to be giving and then don't even got a place where, okay, well, this is where we go. Why would I sell my house and then be thinking, okay, I'm about to go to this person who got some land, and I'm gonna bring my seeds and I'm gonna bring my tools, and then when we get there, we ain't really welcome. Like, oh no, I mean, y'all can stop by, but this is my spot, and Most High gonna gather us. So I think what she's saying, gathering together, like, come together as the people who believe. No, not all Israel ain't Israel, but I'm sure that you can tell who's sincere and who's not, and the Most High will divide and keep away from you, as he's kept people protected away from those who have ill intentions in their heart, type stuff.
Right. So what you have to understand about that, I mean, a month ago, 2 months ago, it wasn't even this conversation wasn't coming up. You gotta allow the Yahweh to do what he's doing. While the Israelites was being taskmasters, was beating the hell out of the Israelites, he had brought Moses out in the wilderness. Then he brought him to the burning bush. Then he brought him back. So you people limited in Yah. You gotta let Yah do his thing. Like I said before, it wasn't a Shiloh project. It wasn't no conversation about that. You see it manifesting itself, and it's like I said, whatever Yahweh prophesied is gonna happen. And if you don't allow it to happen, then you're not understanding that Yahweh is who he is. Like I said, he said that we was gonna go in slave ships. And Israel left in 143 BC, and they existed 2,000 years with they had gold kingdoms. They had gold all over the place. Mansa Musa is an example. And so, but in 1619, what he said, prophecy came to pass. He brought the slave ships. So you have to allow Yah, the Lord of hosts, to do their thing. It's gonna manifest itself. Just to show as we see all this stuff coming 100 miles an hour, the same way we're going to gather together, it's going to be in 100 miles an hour. Like I say, I gave the example of how he was all over the place with the story with Sarah, Abraham, and Hagar. They kicked Hagar out. He went and got Hagar. Told Hagar, you're going to have 12 children, 12 sons, just like Jacob is. And then he's gonna be a nation just like Israel gonna be a nation. So get your bags and go on back over there and where Sarah is. So he behind the scenes making all this stuff happen. He told them that Cyrus was coming 500 years before he came, and then it started manifesting itself around the time for him to come. Didn't nobody do it. The Lord of hosts started manifesting things around there, and next thing you know, Cyrus come out and tell him, y'all need, it's time for y'all to leave here. I'm giving you all the money you need to go back. No different than this. Go ahead. I got something.
Yes, I think what they were saying is based off some of the videos and the possible shortages of food, waters, and everything like that. Should we, which I already do, I build up my inventory, my in a location on my property and stuff, as if I might need to invite people in that didn't prepare. So until then, I think that's what their concern. The concern is in between that time, and because like going back to the video, it's going to be some shortage on a lot of stuff, and people with the like minds, such as ourselves, going to more likely going to need to depend on each other in some things.
Right. Yeah, well, that fall right in line with what I said. They're gonna
right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm me myself. Anybody, and like I said, Israelites are intelligent people.
Build up your waters and get your waters and get your seeds and stuff. For that, it's best to have it than to not have it. And say, wow, he already took care of that for us. But it's best to have it. Just like in then during the famine years that you read about, you had to start build up for 7 years of wheat, grain, and all that stuff. What Joseph did. So yes, go ahead and do that.
Right.
And
that's the key.
Yeah. Yes.
That's the key. Was look at what he did. He brought Joseph there long before that happened. He already had set in place. When the famine came, Joseph was one controlling everything. He already had it set up.
Yes.
So like I said, you might not even see it. What's that?
Everybody contributed. Everybody in Egypt was told to give a percentage of grain because they knew what was about to happen. We have people who are not considering whatsoever. I myself, in my home in Detroit by myself, I could feed a lot of people beyond my family. We got food forces individually, but when you're considering the other Hebrew people, what about the Hebrews that are elderly? What about the people who ready to quit their job? We was just trying to figure out, not that it's maybe my words are wrong, but like if I give example, I bought a house, I'm working on my house. In the back of my house, it's a lot of land. So if I come across $10,000, should I invest in this, work on my house like everything normal, or should I take my money and take it with another Hebrew family and we put it together and we wait this thing out? We waiting for the Most High. We keeping the Sabbath together. You got water, I got water. You bringing things, I got things. It was a whole toilet paper shortage. People was out here wilding out. You know what I'm saying? You come together, we come together, and we debate ourselves in the land of our captivity. And we try our best to keep the laws and statutes and commandments, because at the end of the day, you be wanting to call your mother, but your mother's stuck on Christianity. You want to call your brother, but your brother's stuck on Christianity. But here we are, different states all across, but we all believe the Most High. We've all been taught who the Lord of hosts is, and there's no confusion between any of us who our God is. If any of the women on here who are single, I don't know what woman on here got a husband, but I know to not have a husband, you don't have, a certain amount of, protection. That's why the man was given, not to say that the Most High not going to protect his women. He's going to do that. He did prescribe to us a man for that very reason, too. Your wife has protection because you're there. You're going to fight for her life with your life, I'm assuming, and for the lives of your kids.
Right, that goes back to Moab. Let's go back to Moab's. It's a time appointed for that. So right now you there where you at, and you in place. That's what the brothers was saying on the video we watched on Saturday, that you got various locations. Even though you in a location where you at doing the best you can, you got supplies and all that there, but you investing in other places too. You may not even end up in that place, but you invested in that place because you don't know where you're gonna eat, you don't know what y'all gonna do because he's the final factor. So you at where you at right now, and you got a garden, you got supplies and all that, and you waiting on y'all. But at the same time, you investing in the other locations that you know about at the same time, whether it's water, money, whatever. But you setting up. You don't know if you're gonna be there. You don't know if somebody else that you know gonna be there. But you helping aid that place just like you aid another place, and everybody doing the same thing all over. That's what the brothers were saying. So and that's part of prophecy, because he said tabernacles with an S on it. And like I was saying before, if you don't do that, you limiting Yah. He told Moses, to come outside the tent, look up. You see the expanse of the sky? It can't even contain me. So you limiting him yeah. He got like I said, he got time appointed for all that. Let me hit this right here. I want to see what he talking about on this. All right, let me get this. Yeah, right here. So it says, question. Ezekiel 9:12 says, wasn't there 6? And I thought the one with the inkhorn was one of the 6. I could be wrong. So let's look at that. I was telling you, this is what I mean. It's a prime example of what I was saying. So I told you what the objective with JC was. What was the objective of JC? When they brought JC on the scene, what they do? Who got denigrated?
David.
And who else?
Lord of hosts.
Lord of hosts.
So let's go to Ezekiel. Like I say, once you see what's going on, like I say, a baboon could have done this. Ezekiel chapter 9.
It said verse 1 and 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna read all of it. So let me get it. So 9 says, he cried also in mine ear with a loud voice, saying, cause them to have charge over the city, to draw near, every man with his strong weapon in his hand. And behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate, which lieth toward the north, and every man a slaughter weapon in his hand, and one man among them clothed in linen, with a writer's inkhorn by his side, and he went in and stood beside the brazen altar. Right? See that? Hello? You see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so how many angels did the Most High create? 4.
7.
Okay, so if you say 6 right here, then you eliminating Michael, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at it. So we're gonna focus on the man in linen, right? Says verse 2 says, and the man in linen, right? See who that is. I'm in Daniel chapter. Turn the page. Don't turn the page, but let me see. No, I'm in Daniel. Go to Daniel. My bad. I'm thinking I'm in Daniel. Daniel chapter 10. Daniel chapter 10. You got it?
Yes.
Verse 2, chapter 10. In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning 3 full weeks, and I ate no pleasant bread, neither came flesh nor wine in my mouth, neither did I anoint myself at all for 3 whole weeks were fulfilled. And in the 4th and 20th month, 4th and 20th day of the first month, as I was by the side of the great river, which is Helical, then I lifted up mine eyes and look at this. Behold, a certain man. See, he ain't putting that there for a reason. A certain man clothed in linen. See that same man over there? But we're gonna put him where he's supposed to be at. So he said, clothed in linen, whose loins were girded about with fine gold. His body also was like beryl, and his face as appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like the color of polished brass, and his voice as the words like the words of a multitude. They ain't no regular angel. That's the Lord of hosts.
That's Michael.
Now, he the man in linen. Now watch this. I'm in chapter 12. You got it? Daniel 12. Daniel 12. At that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble which shall never since which such as never was since the time since there was a nation, even at that same time, and at that time our people shall be delivered. Everyone that shall be found written in the book. That's the book of life in heaven. As many and many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some the everlasting life, some the shame, everlasting contempt, and they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that are turning many to righteousness as the stars of heaven. But look at this. Here we go. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words, seal the book. See that? Seal it at Malachi, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, now it shall increase. Then I, Daniel, here you go. I looked, and behold, there stood the other two. See that? The one on one side of the bank of the river, and the other on the other side of the bank of the river, right? And the one said to the man clothed in linen, over in Ezekiel chapter 9, which was upon the waters of the river. See, every time he ain't no regular dude. He's standing on the water. He's standing on the water. It's one on one bank, one on the other bank. He's standing in the middle of the river. See that? How long? They asking him. These two angels, these archangels, cherubim. They asking him, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders? Then 7. And I heard the man clothed in linen. See, he's letting you know. This is where these clowns tripped up at. So he says, and I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, unto Yahweh. That's the only person that's dealing with him. He held his hand up unto heaven and swore by him that liveth forever, that's Yahweh, that it shall be for a time, and half a time, and he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people. All these things shall be finished. So here go to nail. So now we're going back to 9. And let me show you what they done. It says, and he cried in mine ears with a loud voice, saying, cause them that have charge over the city, everyone with the want or destroying weapon in his hand. So when you understand what's going on, if you go back, Yahweh always come in a thick cloud. And so what we see right here, let's go back over here. Go to 8, chapter 8. And I'm going to start at verse 9 in chapter 8, because you got to read up to it. It says, and he said unto me, let me find it. Okay, it says 8. Then he said unto me, son of man, dig now to the wall. And when I dig into the wall, behold, a door. And he said unto me, go in, and behold, the wicked abominations that they do here. So I went in, and I saw, and behold, every form of creeping thing and abominable beast, and all idols in the house of Israel portrayed upon the walls round about. And there stood before them 70 men of the ancients of the house of Israel, and in the midst of them was Jehazaniah, the son of Stephan, with every man his censer in his hand, and a thick cloud of incense went up. And then said he unto me, son of man, hast thou seen what the ancients of the house do in the dark? Every man with a chambers of his imagery. For they say, the Lord seeth us not, the Lord hath forsaken the earth. And he said also unto me, turn thee yet, and thou shalt see greater abominations than they. Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was toward the north. And behold, there sat a woman weeping for Thomas. Then said, Thomas is one of the 16 crucified saints. Then he said unto me, hast thou seen this, O son of man? Turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abomination than these. And he brought me into the inner chamber of the Lord's house, and behold, the door of the temple of the Lord, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men with their backs toward the temple of the Lord, and their faces toward the east, and they worship the sun. These are the ones he gonna kill. These 6 gonna kill. Then he said unto me, hast thou seen this, son of man? Is it a light thing for the house of Judah that they commit abominations which they commit here? For they have filled the land with violence, and have returned to provoke me to anger, and lo, they put the branch to their nose. Therefore, as I deal in fury, mine eyes shall not spare, neither have pity. And though they cry in mine ears with a loud voice, yet will I not hear them. And he cried also in mine ears with a loud voice, saying, cause them to have charge over the city, to draw near, every man with straw weapon hand. So It's 7 angels that got charge over the city. They didn't reduce it down to 6 because they don't want you to understand. They take the Michael roll out. It's 7 men. It's 7. Let's look at it right quick. Then I'm gonna go back over here. So look at this. Zechariah chapter 4. Zechariah chapter 4, verse 10. This is Rubel. Same situation over there, but it's just we're dealing with Zerubbabel right here. And this verse 9 says, the hand of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this house. The same house that the 7 came into where the altar is at. He says, the hand of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this house. His hands also shall finish it, and thou shalt know that I, the Lord of hosts, have sent me unto you. For who have despised the day of small things, for they shall rejoice and see the plummet in the hands of Zerubbabel with those 7. So by all of a sudden over here in Ezekiel chapter 9 and 6, see that? Chapter goes 7. So let's look at one more. Isaiah chapter 11. Chapter 11, verse 1. And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse. That's David. Jesse ain't none of Jesus' daddy. Jesse is David's father. So there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse. A branch shall grow out of his roots. So that's David. Now look who with him. The Spirit of the Lord, 1, shall rest upon him. The Spirit of wisdom, 2. Understanding, 3. The Spirit of counsel, 4. Might, 5. The Spirit of knowledge, 6. And the fear of the Lord, 7. Okay. Anybody got any comments? What's up, D-Ray? Okay, anybody else got anything? Okay, let me get this, play a little more of this, then move on to something else.
Parallels, we're not looking at ourselves, and if we don't look at ourselves, we're never really going to be able to make the progress to this, aspirational republic of ours.
No wonder the U.S. had such a great time funding what would become Al Qaeda, the Mujahideen, and it's now so nice for the Taliban. I don't know, but when you're saying,
so like I was saying before, they're not we dealing with the scriptures, but we're dealing with lies. You got to uncover the lie, then go back and deal with the scripture. Because when you're dealing with a lie and you're looking for something somebody told you and it ain't the truth, and then you go in the scriptures looking for that, it ain't the truth. Most High is dealing with the truth. When he laid out a prophecy, he laid it out pertaining to to truths, not to lies. So you have to go back and fix, like I showed you, Antioch Epiphanes. And Antioch Epiphanes is the Antichrist. So you got to go back and look at it and figure it out. He destroyed the temple. Ain't no temple now. What if the Antichrist come now? What a temple is? So it can't be he coming now. The Antichrist came and tore down. He the one cut Israel off as a nation. And then he attacked Most High laws, statutes and judgments. He can't come now. That's like I said, you can't bring Sam Walton now and discover Walmart. Walmart already all over the world and Sam Walton dead. He can't come and create Walmart now. He came back then when he created Walmart and he set it up and died, just like Antioch Epiphanes did. Yeah, that's thinking like a Hebrew. Okay. So anyway, this video right here was it's something good to watch. You know what I'm saying? If you deal with this type of thing. So he says it's a true history of the U.S. Genocide, slavery, imperialism, and hyper capitalism. All that's signatures of Cain. Cain and his descendants. Israelites ain't got nothing to do with that. So that's the true story of America right there, Cain descendants. And it's not coincidence that they bouncing all over the place because let me read what the Most High said by Cain descendants. So we got 10 different, 4 beasts gonna transform himself 10 different times and 10 different geographical locations. I mean, he all over the place, right? Well, look what the Most High said. Genesis. Genesis chapter 10, chapter 4, verse 10. This is the Lord host talking to Cain. And he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother crieth unto me from the ground. He killed his brother. So ain't that what these folks doing? Same thing. So now they just multiply. 11. Now art thou cursed from the earth, which have opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shall thou be in the earth. 10 different kingdoms. He's been all over the place. That's what a fugitive and a vagabond is. He all over the place. There it is. We ain't even got to read no more. He said a fugitive and a vagabond, you're going to be in the earth. That's the reason why he got 10 different transformations of the 4 beasts. Because that's the spirit that's in him. He all over the place. And he a faggot. Come on. So, like I said, you want to watch that. It's a true history of U.S. genocide, slavery, imperialism, and hyper-capitalism. Okay? And so what I'm doing right here, anybody got any comments?
I do. You
got?
know how in scripture it says that Isaac loved Esau, but Rebekah loved Jacob?
Right.
But I was reading today in Jubilees, in the end, Isaac, he didn't love, he knew that that Esau was wicked.
Right.
And he loved Jacob more. But they left that part out. I thought that was interesting how you were saying how they just, pick and choose what they want to put in the KJV.
Right. It's another part to that. Is he had a he was sprung on that venison that Esau made. That's why he told him, go and make me some of that venison. And so when, like I was telling you before, what they done, just like I just showed you what they done with the 7, they went and they didn't trick everybody off when they concocted the Council of Nicaea and all that, and they got you thinking that the woman and the man is equal. So Rebecca goes and inquires of the Lord. Why? Because now all of a sudden, like I said, when JC was at the died and they put him in the tomb, then when he resurrected, Mary was the one there. 12 men don't know what the hell going on. They up in the upper room somewhere. They lost, but the woman know where he at. So that's because they changing the roles, because that's what they deal with. So like I was saying before, with that situation right there, they doing the same thing. They got you all of a sudden. They got you thinking that they equal. But what happened is when you go to Jasher, Abraham, Rebecca went and asked Abraham to inquire of the Lord for her. And Abraham went and inquired of the Lord, just like Joseph did for the Pharaoh. And the Lord host told Abraham, he gonna give him that blessing if you tell Rebecca to do this right here. Because if he don't, he gonna send him out there and get that pottage, then make that pottage with that venison in it, and he gonna give him the blessing. Although he know he wicked as hell. So that's what Abraham told her, and she kept it. And then when the time came, like I'm saying about what's getting ready to happen now, when the time came, when the time appointed came, Yahweh did his thing. So she, when the time came, she called him and said, come on here, put the stuff on his arms and all that, made the venison for him and took it in there to give him, because Isaac was going to bless Esau, even though he know he's wicked as hell. So that's what that is. And that's he's, like I said before, he done tricked this book all the way, flipped it upside down. That's what the Hebrew Christian don't understand. And without the spirit of the Most High, you ain't going in there and deal with it. You can't deal with it. Because he done flipped it all over the place. Come on. Yeah. Anybody else got anything? Did they answer the question?
Sorta.
Right. Yeah. Sorta. So like I said before, he got women. They didn't displace all the roles and change everything around and flipped it all around. And you have to rightly divide what was actually going on at first in order to come back and see how things go.
Right. I was just saying in Jubilees, Isaac was saying at the end, you know, that he loved, it was stating there how much he loved Jacob more than he did Esau before he died.
Right. That was after he had already he had already gave the blessing to Jacob.
Right.
And the Lord of hosts intervened though. He wasn't where he was at. What you saying when the time came for him to get a blessing, he was gonna give it to Esau. And the Lord of hosts intervened. But at the end, the same situation is who out of Leah and Rachel that Jacob loved?
Out of Leah, she loved him too. Well, he loved her after she died. After
who he loved the most? Who he loved the most though? When it came to Leah and Rachel.
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 But when he died, he said, "When you bury me on the side of Leah." Same thing right there.
But right, and then he gave his love to her at the end. I found out he really,
over time, he found out who was who.
Right.
But during the time when he was given the time for to get a blessing out, he was gonna give it to Esau. And the reason being was when you understand Jacob left. Jacob went and lived with Eber and Shem for a long time, and the whole time it was Isaac and Esau was feeding that pottage. That's why he was connected to him.
So let me ask you, I was wondering, you know how Jacob he deceived Isaac, you know, by acting like Esau, you know, listening to his mom. And then when he got to Laban deceived him, tricked him, had him marry Leah first. Right. You think that's because he did that to his father? I was just wondering.
No. Laban don't want him to leave because he see anointing on him, so he gave him Leah to keep him there 7 more years.
Yeah, because he was blessed. He blessed the blessings, and he saw it.
Right. That's what people not understanding with Potiphar. See, that's what I'm saying. You got these Egyptians, and we supposed to call ourselves Israelites today. We can't even see, but Potiphar said, "I see that the Lord is on you. The Spirit of the Lord on you. Come on in here and take care of my house." So they reading over that. So he see that. He see it's on the Spirit Yahweh. The Spirit of these angels is on Yahweh. I mean, it's on Joseph. So he brought him into his house. Everybody that came in contact with him saw it. Right. Yeah. That's what's going on with it.
Okay, I was just wondering.
And
it's all good.
You got to look also that Isaac, and you look at the traditions and the customs, whether he liked them or not, was that the fact that the first son was Esau. So there was a lot of countenance being given to the first son, regardless of who family it was. But as it also in some of those same texts, they were talking about when both the twins was up in age, and they would go out in front of the common folks, the elders, and people like that. They start seeing a major difference. Jacob was looking for wisdom, and Isaac was looking for for a lack of words, a crap game, something deceptive to do. They said he was a very manipulative person at a young age.
Right. But between the two of them, he already know he had gave the birthright up.
Yes.
So the Lord of hosts know all that. That's why he told he had Abraham to break it down to Rebecca what to do at the time appointed. Because Isaac wasn't going to tell him that he had gave Jacob the birthright.
Right.
He had already gave him the birthright. But he was, like you said, he's slick and he's cunning. So that's the Lord of hosts had to step in and take over. Let me deal with this right quick.
Oh, okay.
You had something else?
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to say, and Esau's sons, man, I see now, you know, how it all trickles down because they got a straight up hatred. for Jacob and the seed.
Right, right.
And
That's all
Jubilee.
predicament. That's all predicament up until this day.
Up until this day. That's all I want to say.
Let me give you a quick example of that. I was watching the news this morning, and they were fussing and hooping and hollering at one of the school city council about wearing the mask. And they showed the mothers, and then from there at the school, then they panned the foyer where all the parents and people were taking issues. And one of the little kids, a little white boy, was showing that upside down OK sign that represents white power. He jumped in front of the camera using both hands, showing the white power symbol and shaking and dancing in front of the camera doing a white power symbol. And he looked like he could have been no more than 10 years old.
Okay.
So goes back to what Leonard was saying about it's just in them.
Right. They bred it and they bred into them. And then they facilitate it by teaching them all that. So yeah. And they ain't gonna change. That's what I say. The Most High, if it lasts for another 300,000 years, they're gonna keep doing the same thing. If the Most High, if heaven don't intervene, that's who they are. Like I said, the homosexual part of it. That's who they are. The homosexuals.
Serpent seed.
Let me answer this. Yeah, the serpent seed. Let me answer this right quick. So let's look at that. He says, "I'm not understanding how Michael will stand up in the last days, and at the same time, we should scatter the power of the holy people." That's a good question, because that's just what I mean by how super slick Esau is. Here we go. Daniel. And like I said before, this ain't another thing you have to understand too is these numbers and all these here chapters and numbers wasn't in there. You reading the story. So if you read what happened with Daniel, you taking in consideration everything that's in Daniel. So you say, what you talking about? So I'm over here in chapter 7. The answer that, what you right there, the question you say, I'm in chapter 7, right? And it says, Daniel had let me see where I'm at. Chapter 8. Daniel had a vision of a ram and he go, right? And then he had the vision. Let me get my Bible, this page tore out. Okay, so yeah, I'm in Daniel chapter 8. I got a new fancy Bible. We got to give him a minute to find it. Daniel, okay, I'm in Daniel chapter 8. So, Daniel chapter 8. So, Daniel had a vision of a ram and he go. Then go to verse 15, and he picks up, Gabriel comes to give him understanding. Gabriel comes to appear to Daniel, give him understanding of it. So he says, and it came to pass, when even I, Daniel, had seen the vision, right? Sought for the meaning, then behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Elijah, which called and said to Gabriel. See that? He go to man in linen. He's gonna answer Daniel, Ezekiel 9:9, and he's gonna answer this question right here. So he says, and I heard a man's voice between the banks of the Uriah. We just saw that. That was the Lord of hosts, man clothed in linen, on the river. He's on the river and he called to Gabriel on the bank, Daniel on the bank. And he called to Gabriel and tell him, he commanded Gabriel. Ain't but one person can do that. That's Michael. And he clothed in linen. So that identify him. Contrary to what they wrote over there. So he says, 16, and I heard a man's voice between the banks of Uriah, which called and said to Gabriel, he commanded Gabriel. Ain't but one person over Gabriel. Make this man understand the vision. So he came near where I stood. And when he came, I was afraid. And I fell upon my face, but he said unto me, understand, look at this. Understand, O son of man, for at the end shall be the vision. This is the end of Israel as a nation. That's why I'm showing you who Antiochus Epiphanes is, Antichrist. So he says, at the end, not the end of the world, the end of Israel as a nation. So here you go, right here. So this is gonna blow all these rabbis out the water. So it says, so he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was afraid and I fell upon my face. But he said unto me, understand, son of man, for at the time of the end, Israel as a nation shall be division. Right? So now I go back over here. What question you asked? So like I said, this is a continuous story. Take the numbers out. Take the 12, chapter 12 and all that. So they still by the bank of the river. It's still an angel on one bank. There's another angel on the other bank. And Michael's still standing on the water. And we in 12. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of our people, and there shall be a time of trouble such as never was a nation, even at that same time. And at that time our people shall be delivered, every one that shall be written in the book. He's telling them what's going to happen in the future, right? Then 2. And many of them that sleep in sleep, now he's going to the future because he's going to resurrect all of them. That's what he's saying right here. Many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake. Some the everlasting life, some the shame and everlasting content. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that are turned many to righteousness as the stars of forever. But look, now he's back in the future. He's back right there on the bank of the river, telling them about the end, which is the end of Israel as a nation. So he says, but thou, O Daniel, shut up the words of the book and sealed it, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood the other 2, one on this side of the banks of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. Look at this. And the one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the river, waters of the river, how long? How long to the end of Israel as a nation? See that? How long shall be to the end of these wonders, right? And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand to heaven, and he swore by him, by Yahweh, that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time. It's not a futuristic prophecy. He's telling them this is when Antichrist Epiphany is gonna come. But these clowns got you or kind of add up this time to the end of the world. But he's telling them in soon, Israel as a nation coming to an end. Okay. And let me go back in now, because I don't want to leave it like that. Let me finish it. So he says, so go back over to chapter 8. And he tell you right here, verse 18 says, now, as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright. And he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end. See that? Indignation. Yah's indignation with Israel. He's going to bring it to an end. That's what the time is referring to, not the end of the world. Right? And then he says, for the time appointed, the Moab, the end shall be the end of Israel as a nation. The ram which thou sawest having 2 horns are the kings of the Medes and Persians. Right? The rough goat is Greece. And the great horn between his eyes is the first king, Alexander. 22. Now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of that nation, but not in his own power. And in the latter times, see this? Of their kingdom, the Greek kingdom. See that? When the transgressors are come to a fool, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sense shall stand up. That's Antioch Epiphanes. That's what this time is pertaining to. It says, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. Here we go. He shall destroy wonderfully, prosper, practice, and he shall destroy the holy people. That's how chapter 12 ended. Time and half time is when then he came, the Antichrist came. They ain't talking about the end of the world. But because they didn't add the New Testament in there, and they didn't trick JC in there, now they got to make these prophecies apply to JC. And it worked for a while, but Mosiah keep bringing out Israelites now, it ain't working. It's garbage. Okay, let me get one more before I go. It says, was the 6th day man created before the 8th day man? If yes, why did he not? Why did the fallen angels sin with the 6-day man and woman? Yeah, they did. That's what I was saying. Let's look at it. So these angels that came down, they were created beings. So they over the created man, but it was a man that was formed. These 7 angels is over them. So the created angels. So they came down and go to the garden. Satan is an angel. He cohabitated with Eve. And then let's pick it up in verse 6, chapter 6. So they saw they there. It was Satan and the third angels that failed. So, but Satan came in the garden. He over them. He the one came in the garden. But the rest of them watching. They watches. So they watching. So it's only Eve there. So let's look at it.
So Satan's a created angel. He wasn't formed. He's created.
Yeah, that's what Michael said. That's what I'm saying about we're not reading what's being said.
Right.
Michael said, "Thou, O created being." See that? He ain't not part of the 7. He was created. Yeah, Michael was the first one created. Michael was the first one formed. He was the first one created. So now they saw what Satan did with Eve in the garden. Now time passed, and look what it say. And it came to pass when men began to multiply. See that? On the face of the earth, and daughters with an S on it. They had to wait. Then they did what Satan did. See that? Then the sons of God saw that the daughters with an S on it of men was fair, and they took them wives. They did what Lucifer did, or Aziel. So after they had to wait, and they went into them, they over the created people that was created on the 6th day. Let me show you it was created on the 6th day. We're gonna look at that. So chapter 1, 26. 1 and 26 says, and God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowls of the air, over the cattle, and over all the earth, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, right? So God created, see that? Man in his own image, in the image God created him, male and female created he them. So we can't fumble with that. I'm gonna show you in a minute how the Gentiles got a mind. They can't comprehend that. They're gonna fumble with it. But he's telling you right here is a man and a woman. Right here. This ain't not Adam. Adam ain't have no woman with him. So then you get over here to chapter 2. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts. And on the 7th day, God ended his work. This is 6th day, he created his man and woman. This 7th day, right? His work which he had made, and he rested on the 7th day from all his work which he had made. God blessed the 7th day, sanctified it, because in it he had rested from all his work which he had created. See that? Created and made. Now, these are the generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created in the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens. And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew, for the Lord God had not caused, see that? For the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. That's self-explanatory. He created a man and woman over here, but they not associated with the ground, tilling of the ground. So we need a man to till the ground. That's what Adam is. But there went up a mist from the earth, and the water the whole face of the ground, and the Lord God formed a man. This man ain't got no woman with him. He formed him by himself. This people over here, he created, spoke him into existence, man with a woman. Rested on the 7th day, kept the Shabbat. Then on the first day of the 2nd week, 8th day from creation, he formed this man Adam. These 7 angels dealing with him. The created angels dealing with the created man. So, like I said before, if you don't know that, you're going to be on Prim Road. You can't rightly divide the scriptures. You're fumbling with it. Like I was saying over here, let's look at something else. I was talking about this last night, but I'm going to bring it up again today. I'm in Genesis chapter 10. Enoch chapter 10. So this killed the New Testament. In case you still hanging on to that golden cord, we're going to see, look at it right here. chapter 10. So it says, chapter 10, I'm going to start at verse 5. Start at verse 4. And again, the Lord said to Raphael, bind Aziel, hand and foot, cast him in darkness, and make an opening in the desert, which is in Dedel, and cast him there, and place upon him rough, jagged rocks, cover him with darkness, and let him abide there forever, and cover his face, that he may not see light. And on the day of the great judgment, he shall be cast into the fire, and heal the earth which the angels have corrupted, and proclaim the healing of the earth, that they may heal the plague, and that all the children of men may not perish through all the secret place things that the watchers have discoursed and have taught their sons. Right? And then it says, and the whole earth has been corrupted through the works that were taught by Aziel. To him is ascribed all sin. And Gabriel said to the Lord, proceed. Look at it. Here we go. And Gabriel said, and to Gabriel said the Lord, proceed against the bastards, the reprobates, and the children of fornication. 3 different type of people. They ain't come from Yahweh. They ain't come from Adam. So we don't need nobody to come on down on the cross for one blood. There ain't no one blood. You got bastards, reprobates, and children of fornication. So who are these bastards? These are the giants and the reprobates that where they went into these animals. Reprobates. So you got reprobates, bastards, and the children of fornication is Cain descendants, because Cain came about from fornication. The serpent laid with Eve. They're the children of fornication. So that killed JC. If you still fumbling with it. So it ain't no one blood. Yeah, ain't no one blood. And then, like I said before, he created a man and woman on the 6th day. He telling you point blank. Then he came, he rested, then he waited, and he said, now I need a man. Another man. That's why would he say that? I need another man. I need a man to till the ground, to form, I need to form a man to till the ground. Then he made Adam. Adam was lonely, and then he went and got up because Adam is like the angels. The angels don't have no women. Ain't no women up in heaven. So then he said, we found out Adam needed a woman. That ain't the same man over there in Genesis. The earth is the woman. Ain't no wisdom, ain't no woman. The earth is the woman. The earth is Yahweh's bride. Lord of hope bride. So, yeah. So, but all that's been injected by these Greeks because they love women. They don't understand the role of the woman. They got them they glorify them, making them gods because the man come out of the woman, not understanding that she's a helpmeet. They glorify them with Athena. Greece got Athena and all these different women. They didn't glorify to make gods out of them because they don't have no understanding. The Egyptians. Yeah, then like I said before, these fallen angels left their own estate behind the woman. So they perverted. Yeah. So that's what that is. And so he didn't went in there, and you can't, if you know anything about telling a lie, bald-faced lie, you're gonna have to tell another one. So imagine 3,000 years, 2,500 years, you first started telling lies 2,500 years ago. Imagine how many lies been told since then to make up for that first lie you told. When you told everybody JC was Yahweh's son. And the whole time he got the Lord of hosts there, that's a redeemer. And he told one lie after another one for the last 2,500 years. Yeah, they got to register. Okay, so we had 2 hours. Yeah, I had I think I'm gonna hit that probably tomorrow. I'll probably do it tomorrow. I was gonna deal with the mysteries of Cain, and the cross references to the Book of Jubilees. So I just use that deal with that tomorrow on the women's line. And just put it in there with that. Okay. Anybody else got anything?
I do. One more thing. You can answer real quick. So,
okay.
the Tower of Babel, right?
Right.
At the end, the Lord of hosts dispersed 70 angels
Right.
with the nations. Are
Right.
those fallen or good angels?
Well, one of them was Michael. Michael was given the earth was divided up at that time. Michael was given Mount Zion in that area right there. That's why he says that he brought Moses to where he dwelled at. Told Moses, I want you to go and get my people. Go get deliver his people. He gonna go with him and bring them to his habitation. So he went. They went and got Israel and brought them to the land of Canaan where he dwelled. So that's how that goes.
So,
And the other angels, the other 69 angels was fallen angels. He gave the earth up to them because of what Cain descendants, Adam descendants had done.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, like I was saying before, when the story right here, this is what I was saying earlier, where they called what they done to us is caused us not to. Our forefathers they always was looking for the Lord of hosts and everything. So the Lord of hosts caused him to be eyes to be dim. So to do what he had to do, like I was telling you, he told he already knew what Isaac was gonna do. Isaac was gonna give him the blessing. So he caused him to be eyes to be like that. So you said, what are you talking about? Well, he let you know Moses was strong as an ox when he took him up on Mount Sinai and killed him, and Jacob. Jacob was strong with ox, but he said that he went, and you have to understand this too, because people not understanding this part. When Abraham got ready to die, he each man got his own tent, his house. So he left out of his tent, bypassed Isaac's tent, and he went in Jacob's tent and curled up in the bed and gave up the ghost. So that's telling you something. So, like I said, Yahweh made him his eyes like that, because all the rest of them died strong. Caleb, Joshua, they all died. There wasn't nothing wrong with them. So Yahweh done that. Lord of hosts. Yeah. To bring about prophecy. Okay.
Great class.
Okay. Yeah. So, like I say, we're gonna have the women's line tomorrow night, and then we'll be back here on Friday. And yeah. So,
Hey, Leonard.
What you got?
I purchased different books of the Book of Enoch just by itself.
Right.
Just saying not this to all my brothers and sisters. I'm gonna take a picture of it and put it in the one I bought. And I started with the first chapter of the Book of Enoch. It leads you into the first verse by saying the second coming of Jesus Christ and the judgment.
Right. That's what I was telling you about.
So I'm gonna send this book. So if you see it, if you want to order just the book itself, this is not the one.
All right.
So I'm gonna put it in so you guys can see it, and if you know or see anybody with it that you know that's young brothers and sisters want to get into it, you want to let them know, give them heads up so they won't waste their money and time and be confused.
Right. Yeah, I can use something like that, because I can use it for cross references. Because I got a book of Enoch over here. I don't see it right now, but I got a book of Enoch where it's matching the scriptures. What's Enoch said, they match the same scripture what JC said.
You want me to send it to you? I'll send it to you.
Yeah, send it to me. I'll take it.
Okay. All right. Same spot?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, so let me get off here. We passed 2 hours. I'm gonna see we at the women's line tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and I'll see everybody else on Friday. Shalom.
Hello.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Oh.